Chapter 27 Fulton's Steamboat. At the turn of the century, New York was dreaming already of its destiny. It had only about 60,000 inhabitants, less than 1% of its present figure, and slightly less than Boston and Philadelphia, but the figure must have seemed impressive. Besides, New York had climbed to leadership in commerce. Around the name of DeWitt Clinton, for a long period mayor and later state governor, much of the city's progress for the first quarter century is clustered. He, as well as Jedediah Peck, worked diligently toward the founding of a free public school system. He helped to form the New York Historical Society and promoted the establishment of an American Academy of Art. While music and art did not flourish in New York until after the Civil War, the first foreign violinist to plan concerts here advertised for work as a chimney sweep the following year. The encouragement during Clinton's time built the foundations. Imagination was leading the way. In literature, the city's first real voice spoke through Washington Irving. His burlesque Knickerbocker's History of New York immediately set the whole country laughing at its absurd account of the old Dutch town, and still survives to give the name Father Knickerbocker to New York City, as well as the name Knickers to the golf costume of its inhabitants. In 1807, imagination gave birth to a steamboat that actually navigated. It is true that Fitch's little steamer had shown that it could move on the Collect Pond, but churning around on this little patch of water could hardly be considered navigation. Now, Fulton, with his Clermont, really navigated. One of the most exciting days New York has ever known was August 17, 1807. An odd little craft with a smokestack and paddle wheels was about to start for Albany by the power of steam. A great and prophetic adventure. People hurried to the Greenwich Village dock. Sure enough, there she lay with smoke pouring from her funnel. Then, to the wild cheering of the crowd, she started upstream along the course that Hudson had followed almost exactly 200 years before. The era of steam navigation had begun. Most of the sailboat owners muttered against the new invention, but Cornelius Vanderbilt, who had been sailing his little market boat daily between Staten Island and Manna-Hatin, and saving up the pennies, joined forces with steam. It was not chance, but energy and foresight that won him first place in the shipping world. Once more, imagination and optimism scored in the little city on the lower end of Manhattan Island. In those days, one began to get into the country at Chambers Street. The rear walls of the new city hall were being faced with brownstone instead of marble in the interest of economy. But the City Planning Commission proceeded to lay out the streets clear to 155th Street with longitudinal avenues, numbered cross streets, and extra-wide streets at intervals, like 14th, 23rd, 35th, etc., as if they were providing for a population of 2 millions. Great was the ridicule caused by this ambitious plan at the time, but the commission had been imbued with the imagination and daring that made this city. New York has always believed in the future. Even so, its faith was about to be tried, for just ahead lay 3 death blows to commerce: the Embargo Act, the Non-Intercourse Act, and the War of 1812.